Veteran Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat died from complications of the coronavirus Tuesday. Erekat was one of the most prominent voices of the Palestinian cause and was deeply involved in peace negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians. Imtiaz Tyab is in London with more on his life and legacy.
For over 40 years, Saeb Erekat was at the heart of the Palestinian struggle for statehood, consistently fighting for a two-state solution based on the 1967 borders. He was often lauded and loathed in equal measures. Israelis would accuse him of being an extremist, while hardline Palestinians would call him a traitor to the cause, saying he gave away too much. Martin Indyk, a former U.S. ambassador to Israel under both Presidents Bush and Clinton, and was appointed by President Obama to oversee peace talks with the Palestinian Authority in 2013, says the Erekat he sat with at the negotiating table was committed to nonviolence and lasting peace.
So the people that claim that he was an arch-terrorist simply don't know what they're talking about. He was a man who dedicated his life to peaceful coexistence with a Jewish state.
Saeb Erekat was born in Jerusalem in 1955. He was just 12 years old during the Six-Day War, a surprise coordinated attack on Israel by the Egyptian, Syrian, and Jordanian armies who were not only defeated, but saw Israel seize the West Bank, Gaza, and Syria's Golan Heights. Erekat says he had to grow up quickly living in Israeli-occupied East Jerusalem, but soon diplomacy would be his calling. Erekat first attracted international attention at the 1991 Madrid peace talks, where he insisted on wearing the keffiyeh, a symbol of Palestinian national identity. He was also part of the Oslo Accord peace process, where in 1995 he would ascend to the role of chief Palestinian negotiator. Throughout the years, he described a growing pessimism. He said Israel had failed to deliver on its promises of stopping Israeli settlements on the West Bank and for building a 400-mile wall of separation.
Israeli government trying to legalize looting Palestinian land. It's a theft. It's looting Palestinian land. It is putting the last nail on the coffin of the two-state solution.
Still, Erekat remained popular among many Palestinians. He was even able to hold on to his seat in the 2006 election, which saw Hamas win by a landslide. But with Hamas's tight grip on Gaza and Benjamin Netanyahu as Israel's right-wing prime minister, the chances of any kind of peace agreement became increasingly remote. In 2018, when President Trump moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, Erekat said it would be the end of the peace process. But Indyk says in his final days, there was a renewed sense of hope.
Well, I like to believe that even though he was intubated and in a coma, he somehow knew that Donald Trump had been defeated and that President-elect Biden would revive the U.S. commitment to the two-state solution, and that he could then give up.
For a man who used diplomacy to fight for a two-state solution based on the 1967 borders for so much of his life, in his final years, that goal couldn't have looked any further away. But after his death, it may have just gotten a little closer. Imtiaz Tyab, CBS News, London.